Morning, Glory America. Bonjour, hi, candidates. Hugh Hewitt. Greetings, everyone listening online at YouTube, on Instagram, listening at HughHewitt.com, wherever you are listening, in your car, on your way to work, at home, or on podcast, however you're doing it. Good Tuesday morning to you on this, the 26th day of May, 2020, in the year of the plague, 2020. We're closing in on 100,000 dead, but I still have to tell you, with that terrible toll behind us, I believe we have turned a corner. This is anecdotes, our evidence of anecdotes. Anecdotal evidence is evidence of anecdotes. That's it. But what I saw this weekend is a country that is reopening. What I saw this weekend is just people have said they've intuited the numbers. They don't have to. I've got the CDC graph in front of me, and its data is always 10 days behind. But 10 days ago, the total number of people in the United States under the age of 25 who had died was under 100. And so people have intuited that this is a risk to old and medically fragile people, and the rest of us are not that much at risk. We'll get it, we'll be sick, but we won't die from it. And therefore, we're not going to spend the summer inside. And boy, people were outside this weekend. And many were wearing masks. When many were wearing masks, many were not. And I don't think it much matters. We will see if there's a spike. But I do think there's palpable optimism, and that's the lead story of the morning in the Wall Street Journal. Optimism over reopening pushes global stocks higher. CNN Business, global stocks rise as reopening optimism takes hold. In the Financial Times, European stocks rise as lockdown eases, boosting sentiment. Singapore has a little bit of a off note to this otherwise widespread commentary. Singapore warns its economy could shrink 7% due to coronavirus, but that is not weighing down equities. In fact, let me bring to you our Birch Gold early market report, brought to you by Birch Gold. I hope you did what I encouraged you to do over the weekend, which was to spend some time thinking about how to diversify. And head over to Birch Gold, hughgold.com, or send my name, Hugh, to 474747. That's Hugh to 474747. Japan is up 2.5% this morning. Hong Kong, despite the fact that that's going to be the biggest story of the week by tomorrow, I think, is up 2%. England is up 1.5%. Germany up 0.7%. We don't know where America's markets will end, but like the rest of the world, I expect they will have been buoyed by what people sensed this weekend. And I'd like to ask you, 1-800-520-1234. Ben, will you open the phones up? 1-800-520-1234. Did you see it? Did you see people returning to normal life? I still think restaurants are a long way from normalcy, although they've gotten into the hang of takeout, and I doubt they'll ever leave that. That will be an adapted extra revenue line. People will keep their takeout business going. People have learned how to use takeout. They have got muscle memory of takeout. They know how to drive up, and I think they're going to continue to do that. But I think you'll see this week and next, as summer comes across the United States, that people will be eating on the sidewalk, and by the end of the month, they'll be eating inside, and they will have grown accustomed to it. Doesn't tell us anything about the fall, but I talked to one senior administration official over the weekend. There are so many therapeutics, 1,670 drug trials for therapeutics and vaccines are underway. On the Andrew Marr Show, which is basically the Meet the Press of Great Britain, the head of AstraZeneca said, we will have a vaccine by September. That was kind of startling to me. One of his scientists said, we won't know if it works in a scientific sort of way because there aren't enough people to test it on. The incidence of virus in the United Kingdom is falling so precipitously, they're not going to be able to test the Oxford vaccine, which they think is going to work. But AstraZeneca is going to produce whole billions of samples of it, billions of doses of it, so that they can give it out thinking it's probably good. The head of AstraZeneca thinks that we think it works. We're just not going to be able to test it because there aren't going to be enough sick people to test it on to see if it reverses or deters the antibodies from forming if you don't get sick. But generally, I felt that. I saw it. I didn't watch much TV. I just talked to a bunch of people, called a bunch of people with my own eyes, saw a bunch of people, What did you see? Mark in Dallas. What did you see, Mark, this weekend?
Morning, Hugh. I took a small trip. The wife and I took a trip from Dallas to Arkansas, through Little Rock, Conway, and up into Clinton, up into the Ozarks, and noticed that the majority of the people have resumed some semblance of normality in their lives now.
Did
About
you see
50%
Senator
of the
Cotton? He
people.
usually stands at the border of Arkansas with a sign saying hello. Did you see him when you came in?
No, but there were some guys standing there with shotguns. But
Well, that could have been Tom. That could have been the senator. Anyway, so it does look normal out there, doesn't it?
yes, life seems to be returning to some normality. Now, some of the smaller antique shops that we did stop at were requiring the shoppers to wear masks. The restaurants seem to be, and we only stopped at a few roadside restaurants, seem to be observing the social distancing, but they weren't requiring masks, and the dining rooms were about average fill, but as they were before this all started.
Uh,
So
Where did you
plenty of
stay, by
people
the
out
way,
and about.
on your trip? Did you stay at a hotel, a motel?
No, we stayed at a cabin, a friend's cabin up in the Ozarks, up by Greer's Ferry Lake. The Walmart stores were packed, just as they normally are on a holiday weekend. Social distancing was observed at the registers, but not so much in the aisles where people were shopping.
You see,
I think.
the one thing I'm waiting to see. When I was in Northern Virginia, there was only one hotel that I saw that was open with a desk clerk, and the door was open. So I don't think that the travel. You're rare, I think, for having gone out of town, but I think people are moving around, and certainly. The number of TSA visits skyrocketed this week. Hey, thank you, my friend. I'm glad to hear that you were out and about and that they're guarding the Arkansas line because that's important. I did note that mortgage credit is tightening, creating a drag on the economic recovery, according to the Wall Street Journal. With interest rates falling to the lowest level on record, this should be a banner time for households in search of a new mortgage. It isn't. Mortgage availability has tightened sharply as lenders impose tougher income, credit scores, and down payment conditions, drop some loan types altogether. That's not what Andrew and Todd.com are telling me. Andrew Del Rey and Todd Avakian are with Sierra Pacific Mortgage, 888-1172, and I talk to them, often. They are doing box office business. So I wonder, it just doesn't seem to me to be consistent with what I'm hearing from them. So I'm sure the Journal talked to some people. I'm not sure all mortgage lenders want to lend right now because the rates are so low. But Andrew and Todd.com are lining people up and getting them closed, and people are buying houses. In fact, you can't really find a house in Northern Virginia because of the Amazon effect. So that's back being where it was. I just think, except for Hong Kong, the world is feeling pretty good. Hong Kong, by contrast, not so good. Hong Kong in shock as China's Xi Jinping goes for nuclear option. Again, it's the Wall Street Journal. With his plan to impose sweeping anti-sedition legislation on Hong Kong, Chinese leader Xi Jinping has revealed a willingness to alter the one-time British colony's special status as a self-governing city with a speed and a scope that surprised many, from pro-democracy activists to diplomats to business people. Next hour, I will play for you the appearance of Robert O'Brien, National Security Advisor, frequent guest on this show, old-time friend, on Chuck Todd's Meet the Press this Sunday, where they talked about the consequences of this. If they crack down, if they impose martial law, as appears to be happening this week or next in Hong Kong, that will be the end of Hong Kong as a banking center. Capital will flee. It just will flee. When we come back, an update on the General Flynn case. The Washington Post has an op-ed by Judge Michael Luttig, retired from the federal judge, probably the most influential federal judge in the United States who's retired. What the appeals court should and shouldn't do in the Flynn case. And this Luttig piece is going to rock D.C. and the bench. I'll bring you that, plus my own column on U.S. cybersecurity. There's a lot to talk about this morning, but isn't it great to know that summer has sprung and it sorta is normal? Stay tuned, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt.